Welcome to our continuous coverage of the budget 2017-18 on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Frank Pereira. Govind Etharaj, of course, from our Mumbai studio. They're bringing us the latest and analyzing the budget of Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. This, of course, was his fourth budget that he presented today. Of course, several people have come out in support of the budget, saying that it has been a good budget, and we could see quite a lot happening in the days to come. And of course, some people have said that there are misses. The opposition has criticized the budget for a lack in focus, if I would like to call it that. And also the opposition has said that the farmers' needs have not been addressed by this particular budget. It's 6 p.m. and at 6 p.m. we bring you the news at 6, and here are the headlines this evening on the news at 6. No tax on income up to 3 lakh rupees, 5% tax on income up to 5 lakh rupees, 10% surcharge on income between 50 lakhs and 1 crores. Highest ever allocation for Manrega increased to 48,000 crore rupees. Proposal to use space technology to monitor implementation. Donations above 2,000 rupees to political parties only through checks, digital mode or electoral bonds. Proposal to ban cash transactions above 3 lakh rupees from April 1st. No service charge on train e-tickets from April 1st. Rail Safety Fund with corpus of 1 lakh crore rupees over 5 years proposed. Budget reflects commitment to eliminate corruption, devoted to well-being of farmers and poor. Says the Prime Minister. Congress says there's nothing to farmers or on job creation. Well, the Finance Minister announced a tax bonanza by reducing income tax for income between 2.5 and 5 lakh rupees from 10% to 5%. However, to offset losses in revenue due to this tax cut, a proposal to levy 10% new surcharge for incomes from 50 lakh rupees to 1 crore rupees has also been made.
The Finance Minister addressing post-demonetization expectations for a reduction in tax burden.
I propose to reduce the existing rate of taxation for individual assessees between the income 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs to 5% instead of the present rate of 10%. This would reduce the tax liability of all persons below rupees 5 lakhs income either to zero with a rebate or 50% of their existing liability.
Jaitley also proposing not to impose any tax on income up to rupees 3 lakh.
In order not to have any duplication of benefit, the existing benefit of rebate available to the same group of beneficiaries being reduced to 2,500 available only if to the assessees with income up to 3.5 lakhs. The combined effect of both these measures will mean that there would be a zero tax liability for a person getting income up to 3 lakh rupees and a tax liability of only 2,500 for people with an income of 3 to 3.5 lakhs.
However, to offset the revenue loss following relief to taxpayers, Jaitley also proposed a new surcharge of 10% on incomes between 50 lakh and 1 crore rupees.
I propose to levy a surcharge of 10% of tax payable on this category of individual whose annual taxable income is between 50 lakhs and 1 crore. The existing surcharge of 15% on people earning more than 1 crore will continue. This is likely to give me an additional revenue of rupees 2,700 crores.
While the surcharge alone would net 2,700 crores a year, the reduction of the tax burden will result in a loss of 15,500 crore rupees. Jaitley also made a proposal to expand the tax net.
In order to expand the tax net, I plan to have a simple one-page form to be filed as an income tax return in the category of income individuals having a taxable income up to rupees 5 lakh other than business income. Also, a person of this category who files an income tax return for the first time would not be subject to any scrutiny for the first year unless there is some specific information available with the department with regard to any high-value transaction.
The finance minister said that his proposals on excise and customs duties will not result in any significant loss or gain to the exchequer. However, there are a host of items that will either become cheaper or dearer. LED bulbs, solar panels, wind-operated energy generators are among the items that will be cheaper. Cigarettes, tobacco, pan masala and silver coins are among items that will become costlier. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat right now is Shubhamay Bhattacharjee, consulting editor of the Business Standard. Shubhamay, good evening. Thank you for joining me on the program. Now, as far as taxation is concerned, many say that it's a move in the right direction, but has enough been done? Could the government have done more?
That's always a chicken and egg situation. Could it have done more? Well, there's always a scope. But the limit is actually set by the fiscal deficit target. Since the finance minister has decided that this year, for instance, he has achieved 3.5%, and next year, even if he doesn't reach 3, he'll be coming to something like 3.2%, which means that his scope for giving any additional giveaways was very limited. Now, that automatically means that he can't give too many SOP. As it is, this one is costing him about 22,000 crore.
Yeah, it's still universal, to 12,500 rupee gain for almost everyone across the border.
So given that sort of a hit, and the fact that the additional revenue mobilization this year, next year, is going to be very limited because industrial growth has slowed down. The growth rate of the economy, the nominal growth rate of the economy is just 11.7%. You will not get too much of space to generate revenue to be able to make up for any additional giveaway. So to answer your question, Frank, it has to be, there was about maximum. There could be slightly higher or lower, but basically you won't expect it too much from there.
Indeed. All right. Stay with us, Shubham. I'm going to come back to you for another reaction on the other stories that we're tracking as well. Now, the finance minister also termed demonetization as a bold step. In fact, he went out and said that India should go ahead and push for digitalization, and demonetization, of course, was a problem, and there was an issue as far as the months that followed demonetization was concerned, but then the economy is recovering. Now, he further said that, stated that demonetization seeks to create a new normal wherein the GDP would be bigger, cleaner and real. Jaitley further said that the drop in economic activity on account of currency squeeze is expected only to have a temporary impact. He, however, highlighted the potential that currency ban offers, which includes a greater digitization of the economy, reiterating that promoting digital economy is an integral part of the government's strategy to clean the system. Jaitley said India is now on the cusp of a massive digital revolution.
The Committee on Digital Payments, constituted by the Department of Economic Affairs, has recommended structural reforms in the payment and ecosystem, including amendments to the Payment and Settlements System Act 2007. Government will undertake a comprehensive review of this act and bring about an appropriate amendment. To begin with, it is proposed to create a payment regulatory board in the Reserve Bank of India by replacing the existing Board of Regulation and Supervision of the Payment and Settlement Systems. Necessary amendments are proposed to this effect in the Finance Bill 2017.
Well, it may have been part of the general budget this time, but Finance Minister Arun Jaitley did ensure that the railways got its share. A slew of measures were announced with a focus on enhancing safety and improving infrastructure. Here are the details.
For the first time since independence, there was no separate budget for the railways. With the finance minister presenting the first combined budget of independent India, the focus was on synergizing investments in railways, roads, waterways and civil aviation. The focus in railways will be on four major areas: passenger safety, capital and development works, cleanliness and finance and accounting reforms.
For passenger safety, a rail Sanraksha Kosh will be created, a safety fund, with a corpus of rupees 1 lakh crores over a period of 5 years. Besides seed capital from the government, the railways will arrange the balance from its own resource avenues and other sources. The government will lay down clear-cut guidelines for timeline for implementation of various safety works to be funded from this course. Unmanned level crossings on broad gauge lines will be eliminated by 2020. Expert international assistance will be harnessed to improve safety preparedness and maintenance practices.
The output of the Indian Railways has been proposed to be enhanced by 10% in the next 3 years. This will be done through modernization and upgradation of identified corridors. For passengers, service charge on rail tickets booked through IRCTC is to be withdrawn, while 500 stations will be made differently abled friendly by providing lifts and escalators.
It is proposed to feed around 7,000 stations with solar power in the medium term. A beginning has already been made in 300 stations. Work will be taken up for 2,000 railway stations as a part of the 1,000 megawatt solar mission. Our focus is on Swachh Railways. SMS-based Clean My Coach service has been started. It is now proposed to introduce a Coach Mitra facility, a single FINDO interface to register all coach-related complaints and requirements. By 2019, all coaches of Indian Railways will be fitted with biotoilets.
The finance minister also announced the creation of new employment opportunities in the railways with the announcement of a new metro rail policy. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Going back to my guest right now, Shubhamay Bhattacharya. Shubhamay, as far as the rail budget is concerned, the first real rail budget merger with the general budget, but railways has been given its due importance, and the finance minister also said that there's not going to be any kind of administrative interference and the railways is going to run individually.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is restating the position. But the figure that doesn't come in this budget, and it's there in the budget documents, would show the operating ratio of the railways. And that's a worrying thing because it has slipped to 94.9%, almost
Yes.
99, almost 95%. And it was 90% last year. So it does show that the effect of lower freight carried by the railways because of the economic slowdown over the year, and the fact that the costs are not being matched by rising, and there's this pay commission and other payments that have come up, is actually hit railways very hard. So railways does need quite a bit of nurturing. So it's good that the railways is in the general budget, which it should have been, because all these issues was getting deflected by demand for additional lines, projects which made no sense, which cluttered up a lot of time of the railway minister. Here he simply needs to work on what are the basics, like the rail safety push.
Yes.
Those are good ideas, and those would need, obviously it's not going to be government funded. It's only the seed capital that will come from the government. So what it does is it creates the space for railways to do some solid work in terms of building up its capacity as India's premier infrastructure agency, which it has not been able to do for several years.
Indeed.
The stage was set last year by Prabhu, and he was already moving in this direction. This one sort of takes it to the logical conclusion.
There has been a lot of thrust on digital modes of payment and digitization as well, and so has been reflected in the rail budget as well.
That's right. In fact, if you see that the entire budget talks a lot about, Jaitley didn't have space, as we discussed right now, to give too many giveaways. Income tax was one thing. He has basically, what he's done is he has tried to address that constituency which has possibly suffered from demonetization. And the other constituency that he has tried to help is the digital economy. Now, these were seen as the three thrust areas. Demonetization, we can discuss it separately, but on digital economy, Therefore, the series of changes, first of all, a tax rebate on several items, POS machine and all those things have been given tax-free. Secondly, he has actually incentivized, for instance, payment, a simple thing like payment above 3 lakh rupees in cash is now will attract a penalty.
Yes.
So that sort of stuff essentially blocks the scope for using cash for unaccounted transaction.
Indeed.
And sort of nudges more amount of transactions onto the digital space. And of course, what was needed was exactly what it said, that a new regulatory board within the RBI will be set up by amending the Payments and Settlements Act. Very necessary, because as the digital economy becomes bigger, it needs very good nursing of it, and that needs good regulatory architecture. So to that extent, that was welcome measure.
Sure. All right. Stay with us. I'm going to come back to you for another reaction as well, because we're going to continue tracking these stories and the big highlights really of today's budget. Now, from constructing 1 crore houses for the homeless by 2019 to announcing completion of 100% electrification of villages by May 2018, the Finance Minister unveiled many measures for the rural and infrastructure sector. Among his announcements, a new metro rail policy, select airports in Tier 2 cities to be taken up for preparations on PPP mode, new railway lines and differently abled friendly stations too.
Presenting his union budget on Wednesday, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley articulated the government's focus on spending more on rural areas and building infrastructure.
It has been our mission to bring a transformative shift in the way our country is governed. We have moved, madam, from a discretionary-based administration to a policy and system-based administration. From favoritism to transparency and objectivity in decision-making. From blanket and loose entitlements to targeted delivery, and from an informal to a formal economy.
The Finance Minister also increased funds allocated for scheduled caste by a third to 52,000 crore rupees. He also mentioned that many new enterprises were set up under the Stand Up India program aimed at helping women, Dalit and tribal entrepreneurs.
Government is giving special importance to the implementation of schemes for the welfare of scheduled castes, scheduled tribe and minorities. The allocation of the scheduled caste has been stepped up from rupees 38,833 crores in the budget estimate of 2016-17 to 52,393. इससे मैडम 35% इंक्रीज SC allocation का इस बजट में है. We are well on our way of achieving 100% village electrification by 1st May 2018. An increased allocation of rupees 4,814 crore has been proposed under the Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana for 2017 and 18.
Focusing on housing in rural and urban sector, Jaitley said the government proposed to construct 1 crore houses for the homeless by 2019. In this context, he said the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana allocation has been raised to 23,000 crore rupees from 15,000 crore rupees.
Clear focus on improving accountability and outcomes and convergence, we will undertake a mission Antyodaya to bring 1 crore households out of poverty and make 50,000 Gram Panchayats poverty-free by 2019.
Most of the budget measures were also being seen in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's plan to provide 20 million houses across India by 2020. Experts say difficulties in claiming incentives for affordable housing have been removed by these measures. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let me go back to my guest right now. Shubhama, as far as this government is concerned, in the past it has been continuously criticized by the opposition for being anti-farmer, anti-poor. But this budget seems to have prioritized those sectors, a lot of giveaways really for the rural sector, the underprivileged and the poor.
Criticism on the poor issue is something that every Indian government gets. I mean, that's nothing new. And there's no reason for a particular government to be touchy about it. Of course, they would be, because they would relate it to the vote bank. But that is the usual cry that comes along, that what has been the farmer or what has been for the poor. Now, the major issue, Frank, which I've been talking about is that a budget of the central government there has been some steps. The money that has been spent, there has been raised allocation. Now one could say, for instance, the NREG amount. NREG has been raised to 40,000. But at the same time, this year itself, NREG's actual spending is close to 50,000.
Yes.
So there isn't much of a change there. What it does, but then there isn't any necessity because NREG is a demand-driven one. So whatever will be rising as a demand from the fields would have to be paid for by the government. The big thing about rural economy is about the implementation of budget-related announcements and basically by the state governments. Rural economy needs support, and not just rural economy, if you look at semi-urban economies also, in terms of healthcare, education. Now, these are the two priorities, very clear priorities that need to be addressed. It's a capital investment actually,
Sure.
in a human capital. But the problem is not about the funding. The funding is low, but more than that is the quality of the funding. And here every party has to actually look and check what is being their level of implementation, to what degree do they exercise control over the money that is made available to these places. How many schools work well, how many hospitals or primary health centers are made to do the work that they are set up for. Now unless those are done, you could put any amount of money in the entire scheme of things, that will simply not lead us anywhere. So in budget or in central government's budget, like for instance when you give a tax set-off to say an industry, that is well adjusted because industry knows how to handle it. It will set its production line accordingly. It will also probably create some employment, and that's fully absorbed in the system. But the social sector investment is an area where there is not adequate amount of calculation oversight given to what is the quality of the spending. And then we also have the situation where lots of ministries return the money.
Yeah.
Health ministry is a serious offender in this regard. Every year it returns about 20% of its budget. So what's the big deal in giving it extra money? So these are the stuff which actually opposition should raise, and when they are in government they should look at. That these need to be addressed to really ensure that the people, when everybody talks about Aam Aadmi or common people, that these actually deliver. What is it that the implementation is being happening? What level of last mile monitoring is being done? A central budget of the government, of central government, can only go thus far.
Sure.
And beyond that, it's up to the political local leaders to ensure that the implementation is proper.
You know, increasing the budget is not the real talking point. Whether or not it is implemented is what really needs to be looked
Absolutely.
at. Thank you so much, Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now. Furthering the Election Commission's bid to stem the flow of black money, the government, of course, during the elections, the finance minister announced a slew of steps to bring in transparency in political funding. The finance minister said this was a measure to evolve a transparent method of funding political parties, which is vital to the system of free and fair elections.
India may be the world's largest democracy with one of the most elaborate electoral systems, but it has still not been able to evolve a transparent method of funding political parties. In his budget speech, the finance minister said transparency was vital for the conduct of free and fair elections, and that the government was committed to achieving this.
Political parties continue to receive most of their funds through anonymous donations, which are shown in cash. An effort therefore requires to be made to cleanse the system of political funding in India.
Among the many measures announced, the finance minister put a cap on the maximum amount of cash donations that a political party can receive.
In accordance with the suggestion made by the Election Commission, the maximum amount of cash donation that a political party can receive will be 2,000 from any one source. Political parties will be entitled to receive, political parties will be entitled to receive donations by check or in the digital mode from their donors. C, an additional step, as an additional step, an amendment is being proposed to the Reserve Bank of India Act to enable the issuance of electoral bonds in accordance with a scheme that the Government of India would frame in this regard.
Every political party would also have to file its return within the time prescribed in accordance with the provision of the Income Tax Act. Any existing exemption to political parties from payment of income tax will be available subject to the fulfillment of these conditions. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the union budget, saying it covered all the sectors of the economy and will facilitate the changes that the country was going through. The Prime Minister said that the budget was devoted to the well-being of the villages, farmers and the poor. He also said that the budget reflected commitment to eliminate corruption and black money. The Prime Minister also appreciated the housing and small business sectors would gain immensely from the current budget.
रेलवे के मॉडर्नाइजेशन से लेकर के सरल इकोनॉमिक निर्माण करने की दिशा में, शिक्षा से लेकर के स्वास्थ्य तक, उद्यमी से लेकर के उद्योग तक, टेक्सटाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से लेकर के टैक्स रिडक्शन तक, हर किसी के सपने को साकार करने का ठोस कदम इस बजट में साफ साफ नजर आता है। इस ऐतिहासिक बजट के लिए वित्त मंत्री के साथ साथ उनकी पूरी टीम भी अभिनंदन के अधिकारी है। ये बजट देश के विकास के लिए पिछले 2.5 वर्ष में जो कदम उठाए गए, जो फैसले लिए गए और भविष्य में और मजबूती के साथ आगे बढ़ने के इरादों के बीच ये एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कड़ी है। इस बजट को मैं देख रहा हूं। एक अन्य महत्वपूर्ण कदम है कि रेलवे बजट को जनरल बजट में मर्ज कर दिया गया है। इससे पूरे ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर उसको इंटीग्रेटेड प्लानिंग में मदद मिलेगी। देश में परिवहन से जुड़ी आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति में रेलवे अब अपना योगदान और बेहतरीन तरीके से कर पाएगी। ये बजट कृषि क्षेत्र, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र, सामाजिक कल्याण, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, इन सभी क्षेत्रों में एक विशेष ध्यान आकर्षित करता है। निवेश बढ़ाने और रोजगार के नए अवसर पैदा करने की दृष्टि से सरकार की जो प्रतिबद्धता है वो इस बजट में साफ साफ नजर आती है। इन योजनाओं के लिए आवंटन में भी बहुत बढ़ोतरी की गई है।
Well, that's it on this edition of the news at 6, but do stay tuned. Our budget coverage will continue on the other side. We'll be back with the big picture.